All right, here we go. So you should get the blue button that pops up that lets you know that we are recording. Today we're going to talk about conducting manned sessions. Can somebody just confirm that you guys can hear me and see me okay? Anybody?
We're good, Rob.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. It's like, oh no, everyone's gone. I can't see you guys. All I can see is myself. All right, so we're talking about conducting man sessions, and just a couple of reminders. So this is being recorded. So if you do happen to say something at some point, please do not use any names, initials, or any kind of PHI. Uh, that you probably shouldn't happen, but just in case you are talking about something specifically, make sure that you're really careful about what you're saying. Please keep yourself muted unless you're talking to the group. You must complete the post test in order to get credit, and this does count for your annual required hours. And this training is only as good, just like any training, as how you put it to use. So if you just listen to it and you're like, that was neat, and then you never think about it again, that will not help you. So make sure you're thinking about ways that you can incorporate this, um, because manding is a tremendously important skill. Um, so bringing in our buddy Jeff Foxworthy. You might need man training if. So how do we know if a kid needs man training? So one of the big stark things that I see is they're engaging in problem behaviors basically, period. Right. So if they're engaging in problem behaviors on a regular or semi-regular basis, it's probably because they either or have an issue with manding, so they can't ask for the things that they want, or they may also have a problem with tolerating not getting the stuff that they want, right? So, but if they're engaging in problem behaviors to get the stuff they want, that's a clear sign that we need some man training. Client cannot or does not use mans to obtain the things they want or need, so they might not have problem behaviors. They might just not be obtaining what they want via manding. They don't consistently use mans. Okay, so if you see a kid, what I see most often is the kids who have an AAC device and they never pick it up. They occasionally use it. If you put it in front of them, they might use it. That tells me that it's not has not been effectively trained. Uh, that's like if you woke up tomorrow and the sea witch had stolen your voice, you wouldn't just be like, oh, okay. I guess you wouldn't say anything at all, but you wouldn't think just like, oh, I guess I can't talk anymore. You would be seeking an answer as to why that. So, like, if they don't seek out their AAC device to get stuff they want, that tells me they need some man sessions, some man training. They rely on gestures, pulling, even pointing. Pointing is kind of an initial man that, like babies will kind of orient towards things, reach towards things, and cry. Um, so it starts out kind of that way, but we don't want it to continue that way. We want it to move towards, more verbal mands. And they might use only non-specific mands. So that's why we get a little bit nervous about the help, more, please, stuff that kind of covers across mands. We really want them to eventually be able to use specific mands. And so, there's kind of two camps here. So Hanley teaches that omnibus man that we've talked about. But generally, we want to move to specific mans as quickly as possible. All right, so I'm talking about kind of two ideas that are both the same kind of thing. And we're specifically today talking about manned sessions, which is a version of manned training. So all manned sessions are manned training. Not all manned training is manned sessions. But if you look in the literature, manned sessions are not even, I can't even really find them talking about it, but it's something that Julie always taught me to do. And it's something that's definitely done, but I just couldn't quite find it. So I couldn't find an exact definition. But what I see the difference as is man training, kind of going backwards here from the bottom up. Man training might be a single thing, like you see them wanting something and you prompt them to ask for it. Whereas a manned session is more like intensive teaching, where you're moving them to a place where you have control of the reinforcers and you're repeatedly having them ask for things in a very contrived, repetitive kind of environment. So in my head, that is the difference. And I guess it's not super important to have a clear definition between the two, but I do want you to know that primarily today we're talking about this more formal, intense manned session. Um, so what are some ways to build manning outside of sessions? So before we talk about not outside our sessions, but outside of manned sessions. So before we get into manned sessions, let's talk about some of the ways we build general manding. Okay, so you can wait for an opportunity where they clearly have motivations for something and prompt them in. So here we have this little boy pointing at something he wants. So you'd be like, oh, there's Skittles up there. You want Skittles? Skittles? He says Skittles. Okay, so that's one way to do this is just wait to see motivation, prompt them to use the skill. Okay, begin a preferred activity, right? So blowing bubbles, that's really blowing bubbles is a fantastic one, but like helping them jump on a trampoline, chasing them, any of these kind of activities, right? So you begin it, you do a little bit of it for free, right? And then you stop and you prompt them to man for more. You stop blowing the bubbles and you say bubbles, and they say bubbles, and you blow some more bubbles. Okay. Show the learner the preferred item. So kind of the version of the top left one, but you're in this case you're contriving it a little bit. So you show them something and you prompt them in. So you pull the M&M out of your bag and you say M&M, you pull, you open up your bag and you've got their favorite toy and you say, G.I. Joe. It's too hard, but you get the idea. And then finally, you can use this three-step closer and deliver method that Mary Barbera has kind of like formalized and talks about in a lot of her videos. So I won't describe it because I'm going to show you here. Okay, so I think this is important to know because before you get to a manned session, they need to have the ability to do some manding, right? So if they don't have that ability, you're going to have to shape it up a little bit. So here we're going to show the way that this works is, and you'll see this with the shoebox method. If you don't know what that is, look it up, talk to your BC about it. We've been talking a lot about it in BC meetings. But she uses the same thing for tacting. Okay, but for manding, you start with the preferred item. You hold it, what Julie calls the death grip, right? So they can't just grab it out of your hand. And you say the name of it 3 times as it gets closer to them. You're not pulling back because pulling back signals that it's not available. So you're slowly moving it forward towards them. And as soon as they deliver the mand that you're looking for, you deliver it. So the faster they say the mand, the faster they get it. But if they don't say it at all, after the third prompt, you give it to them. So that's what this looks like. Hold on. I don't think I shared including sound. So let me really quickly hop out and reshare because I don't think you're going to be able to hear it. Embarrassing, Rob. Oh, I know. I know, friends. I know. Okay. Share. Yeah, share sound optimized for video. There we go. Share. Okay. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Meeting controls. Sorry about that.
Start back over. Tire. Yeah.
Didn't say it at all that time.
All right. What do you want? Tire. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Tire. What do you want? Tire. Oh yeah, tire. There you go, buddy. Good job. Yeah. Good.
So on the third there, see myself more. On the third one there, he said the full word. Okay. On the second one, it was not great. So he said right? So for a lot of kids, you would deliver it on the approximation. But whether you could hear it or not, he was kind of approximating it. So, but that's a treatment decision that you guys have to make. So sometimes you would accept it. You'd be like, yeah, tire, absolutely. But with other times, if you know that they're kind of like they're prone to kind of sloppy manding, then you might want to hold out until you get the full tire. Now, you wonderful, analysts of behavior out there might be thinking like tire is a real weird word to teach a kid who doesn't have a lot of words. I agree. I recorded that this morning. I didn't really think it through. You might prompt Lego or block. Okay, so you want to be a little bit specific, but maybe not that specific. But again, that's a treatment decision that you have to kind of land on with your whole team. Okay, so now let's start thinking about manned sessions. So now we want to move towards a more formal training of these mans, because we got to get them, reliable and consistent and frequent. So there's 3 keys to a manned session. Okay, so these are the pillars of what we want to teach. So we want repetition, we want variability, and we want motivation. Okay, so we're going to break each of those down into its components. Okay, so we'll start with variability. Okay, so what we want to avoid is only teaching one man in sessions. So you've got a big bowl of goldfish crackers and you just have them say goldfish, here you go, goldfish, here you go, goldfish, here you go. It's tempting to do that because you're looking at these early learners who have very limited to no language, and you're thinking, well, it's going to be overwhelming to try to teach them multiple things. Okay, but if you teach like this, right, you have the danger of them then starting to ask for everything they want by saying goldfish. Okay, so it's like the help, the please kind of overgeneralized kind of manned. Which, I would argue is better than nothing, right? But ideally, looking long term, we really want them to multiple things. So the general guidance, you see different things, but about 3 to 5 to start with if you can, right? But 2 is better than 1. But again, 2 is always tricky because you get a 50-50 chance and you're not really sure if what they're asking for is what they're asking for. So if you could start with 3 to 5, you might be thinking, well, Rob, that's hard. My kid only likes one thing, right? Now, first, I would argue with anyone who says their kid only likes one thing, you might have only identified one thing, or you might only have one thing that you actually have access to. You're like, oh, well, they like, the trampoline at school, but we're not at school. Okay, yeah, that's valid. But one of maybe your primary kind of push when this is the case is to constantly be exposing them to potential new reinforcers, and so that you're broadening their scope of reinforcers so that you can use variability in your man training. So variability, very important. Oh, first code word. So your code words today are going to be related to my Christmas tree, and you only got 2 of them. It's only a 30-minute training, so you're going to find out 2 things about my Christmas tree today, and I have them written down somewhere. And where are they? Yes. So different people put different things on the top of their tree. On the top of our tree, we put a star. Okay, so your first code word is star. And remember, we've changed the way that we do code words now. They're not multiple choice where you pick the set of, you have to pick the ones so you have to know all the code words for the training. So code word 1, star, is what goes on the top of my tree. All right, so repetition is the next piece, and maybe, I'm going to say it's maybe the most important, but I think all 3 of them are the most important. So repetition is key that's really what makes it a man session, is that they're getting rapid, repeated opportunities to manned in an amount of time. So, to me, that's one of the primary differences is manned, just regular man training could be they walk over, you see they want the goldfish, you say goldfish, they get a goldfish. Or like the classic trap of they say goldfish and you give them the whole bowl or you give them the whole bag. A lot of times caregivers kind of do this. That really like messes up our chances for repetition there, because now they're just going to go and satiate, right? So you're thinking about how many times does someone need to do something to do it reliably, right? Like how many times do you have to try a guitar chord? How many times do you have to shoot a basketball? How many times do you have to, write, a story before it's publishable, right? Or any like complicated skill that you're thinking about, how many times do you have to do it reliably? Lots. Okay. So then the more you do it, the faster they're going to get it and the better they're going to have it, the more fluently they're going to get it. And we don't want our kids to ask for things sometimes. I'm not going to say it's valueless, right? But it has very low value to it, right? Because you're going to end up with lots of problem behaviors, etc. So we want them to do it consistently and fluently, right? So without prompting, right? We don't want them to be prompt dependent across people, across settings. We want them to be able to do it at school and at home and at daycare. We want when Rob comes in to visit the session, you're like, oh, he can tact all these things. And I'm like, oh, awesome. And I'm like, what's this? And they have no idea, right? Or you're like, oh, they can ask for whatever they want, and I walk in and they don't ask me for anything, even though I have the thing. They see it present. They don't ask. That's not what we want. We want consistent and reliable. So in order to do this, we're shaping up new reinforcers constantly so we have a lot of things we can use, because otherwise they're going to not be hungry for them anymore. And Rob just realized I only have like 10 minutes left. So warp speed, Rob. So motivation, it has to be something they want. If they don't want it, it's not a mand. Okay. It's kind of like a weird kind of tact thing, right? So we need to be using things that they want at that moment. So we're always assessing motivation. You can do your reinforcer assessment at the beginning to see what they're, you can put kind of one of each on the table. And if they grab them all up and eat them, or they play with them or whatever, fantastic. Okay. All right. So the rest of this is really just going to be looking at some examples of these different things. So the first one is kind of the classic example of vocal manding, right? I've got all the reinforcers present and visible. Okay. So this is a kid who doesn't just grab things. And he's going to see how many he can ask for in a minute.
All right, Rolly, what do you want?
Goldfish.
Goldfish. Here you go.
And watches this poor boy's mouth become
buddy.
fuller and fuller.
Cheese it.
Cheese it. Here's a cheese it. Oh, they're delicious and crunchy. Chew, chew, chew.
Chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip. Woo! Uh-oh. Got it? Get it. Chew, chew, chew. A goldfish.
Yes, please.
What do you want?
Goldfish.
Goldfish.
So he says yes, please there. That was kind of a mistake on his part, but I didn't want to re-record it.
Chew and swallow.
Most of our kids wouldn't say yes, please, but
Pretzel.
mine, what I'm going
Chew,
for
chew,
is
chew.
the name of the
All
item.
right, pretzel.
Cheese it.
Cheese it. Here's a cheese it.
Pretzel.
Pretzel. Whoa, it's a little one. You're doing great.
Chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip.
You see him looking at his brother because his brother has
time's
a
up.
timer. So he's very motivated to kind of be done with that because his poor mouth was so full of food. He wasn't very good at chewing it and swallowing it real fast. But so there's kind of what we look at as like the classic example. Okay, but well, now let's look at an example where they don't have vocal language, right? So we're shaping up their vocal language, but we want to teach them that they can request for things they want. And they can't tolerate the stuff being on the table, right? They would just grab for it. So I've got the stuff in this case in my lap. You can see that's a picture of the reinforcers in my lap. He does not want marshmallows, not because he doesn't like marshmallows, but because he saw me cut them up into little pieces and they got stuck to my fingers. And so that grossed him out. So the stuff is out of sight in my control. Okay, and he's using PEX, but you could very easily kind of think about an AAC device with this.
All right, Roland, you ready? Okay, what do you want? Oh, yeah. Here you go. It's a pretzel.
All he's doing is touching the item that he wants to demand for it.
Oh, here comes the goldfish. What do you want? Oh, a chocolate chip. Here we go. Chip, chip, chip. Chocolate chip. Oh, a Cheez It. Cheez It.
So you hear, but like I'm talking and talking and talking, like the fried stuff.
Here it comes. Here's a goldfish.
Across the board. Because the more I say stuff, he might at some point just say one of these words instead of just touching.
What's he want? What's he want? Oh, a chocolate chip. You want a chocolate chip? Here you go, buddy. Chocolate chip. Ooh, goldfish. There we go. Goldfish. Oh, yes, a Cheez It. Oh, all done. Nice job, buddy.
There goes the timer. You don't have to set a timer for these. Like it would be good for data, right? So you can say how many things did they ask for in a minute. You can compare data across time. I always love to put things over minutes, right? But you could set it like you don't want them to be choking on their food, right? Like I was kind of trying to limit it. You might also, for those of you fantastic behavior studiers there, you might be hearing the way I pronounce some things and thinking, Rob, why do you say chocolate chip? Yeah, don't do that. You might all have noticed I say weird. I intentionally say words in a weird way sometimes. Like I like to say punishment instead of punishment. Don't do that. Don't say chocolate chip, because you might end up with a kid who then starts saying chocolate instead of chocolate. Yeah, we don't want that to happen. Okay, so avoid saying things in a weird way. All right, so now we're going to look at one where the child has an AAC device and he's asking for repeated like physical interactions. Okay. And what makes this a man session is I stop them all. I only do them for a little bit. Now, part of this looks a little bit weird because I'm trying to stay in the frame of the video. So when I chase them, I just chase them in a tight little circle. Okay, but this might range around the whole house. So this is an example of a man session that might not just be at a table.
All right, Rolly, what do you want? Dance. Dance? Yeah, dance party. All right, what's next? Chase. Chase! Here we go. Over here, get over here, get over here. Come on, get over here. Ugh. All right, what's next? Tickle. Tickle! Tickle. What do you want next? Sumo. Sumo. What next? Chase. Chase! Come here, get over here. Come here, come here, come here. One more. All right, what next? Dance. Dance! Yeah! Okay.
So you might be able to tell that that's my voice coming out. So I found like a free AAC device app on my phone and I threw it on so I could do that. But you would want to do it with the app that they're using. But again, providing these rapid things. And a few slides ago, I didn't really talk about it, but I should have. We were thinking about like the time they spend consuming the reinforcement, right? That's why we want these like little pieces of reinforcer, like, a chocolate chip versus a chocolate chip cookie, right? Like how long does it take to eat a chocolate chip, right? How long does it take to eat a chocolate chip cookie, right? So the smaller increments you can break them into, the more often they have to ask, and the less time they're going to spend in the consumption of the reinforcement. So if they say like Monopoly, well, you're going to be playing Monopoly for 18 hours, right? Like that's not a great one. Whereas, asking them to chase you and chasing them for a couple seconds, now you can have repeatability with that. All right, so here we're going to look at like a play chain, right? So, but this kid has no formal language, no AAC, he can't use anything. So now we're just using kind of these, sensing the motivation. But you can see like this kid, my son, has built this kind of repertoire of things he does in order to get something. But then I narrate through the whole thing with the hopes that eventually he'll man for it,
All right, Rolly, you ready? What do you want? Oh, he wants to chase. I'm chasing you. I'm going to get you, buddy. Come here, come here. Okay, what do you want next? Oh, he wants to choo-choo.
I somehow didn't realize how much my son now weighs. So
oh, what's he want next?
It's hard to choo-choo him.
What's he want? Oh, he wants the airplane. All right, what's he want next? Oh, he wants airplane again. Here we go. What's he want? Oh, he wants a tickle. He wants tickle. What's he want next? He wants a chase. Get over here. Come on.
Get them away.
All right, good.
Okay. So, you see again, like there's lots of repetition, there's lots of opportunities, but how do you get to this point? You've got to build up these routines of fun things. So you can go back and watch I think the next slide. Yeah. So there was this man training with eye contact. So there's the eye contact mini training that we did, and we also did a play chain mini training. So revisit those for these, because if you don't have a repertoire of fun things that they are motivated by, well, then you can't do this type of man training. But you could have a whole man session just by when they look at you, you deliver the reinforcer that they're looking for. All right, your second and final code word is another thing about my tree. My favorite ornaments on the tree are cow ornaments, right? So that is your second code word is cow, right? Cow is the second code word. Love my cow ornaments. All right, we've I think one more video example. Okay, so this is a different type of manding that I think is hilarious that Greg Hanley talks about, and I've actually noticed it happen with a lot of kids. They want you to do something, right? They want you to act something out. They want you to say something. They want you to draw something or build something. So you could do something. It looks very similar to the last one. This kid's vocal, he has a menu in his hand. You wouldn't do that for a kid. They would know, but I gave him the menu so he would know. And I apologize. I don't actually know the actual words to this Lion King song that I keep singing, so I apologize. Hopefully it's not culturally offensive or anything like that. I'm just singing what I think they're saying. I do not believe is correct. All right.
All right, Roland, what do you want?
Sing.
Sing. Ah, Sophia, babagi,
Wrong.
Drum.
Monkey.
Monkey.
Sing.
Ma, Sophia, babagi,
Robot. Silly. Sing. Drum. Monkey.
Oh, he said monkey there at the end, and I didn't give him the monkey. He asked for sing 3 times. I didn't tell him to do that. I don't know why I did that. But so, yes, again, I apologize. That's not the actual words, but that's what it sounds like to me. So for whatever reason, a lot of kids like that. You know, it's not even an autism thing. I have a lot of kids who just kind of like me to do silly things. So you could do a session where they're just kind of asking you. It's almost like Simon Says, right? Another example I'll tell you real quick, and I know we're kind of over time, so if you have to, dunk out, you can. I'm just going to take another minute or two. So something I do with my groups is this WDMRNTKRN, which stands for What Does Mr. Rob Need to Know Right Now? And basically, they're just naming memes or little short videos or little clips of songs, and I play them in rapid succession. I'm like, all right, who's got one? You? Okay, what do you want? I type it in, I play it. It's hard to do it super rapidly because they got to wait for me to type it in and play it. But it is a version of something where you could be doing it with a kind of higher functioning or more verbal learner. Okay. All right. So just a reminder that the important pieces are repetition, variability, and motivation. So please be considering those. We got a lot of great resources here. The book at the bottom is, Dr. Mary Barbera's book on the verbal behavior approach. She published a more recent one as well, but she has a lot of good information about that. Hopefully this was helpful to everybody. I know it was super quick. Please bring questions about manned training and incorporating it to your sessions. And everybody have a great day. I'm going to stop the recording once I figure out where it is.